Now, the Liberal Democrats have today announced that they would allow 50,000 Syrian refugees into the UK. Tim Farron, Lib Dem leader, said the estimated £4.3 billion cost would be paid back over time by the taxes and hard work of those who settle in Britain. This is what he had to say.
Britain can either turn its back on those refugees, Theresa May ending the Dubs Amendment, which means that we're now turning our back on orphaned children in camps fleeing from Syria. And I just say, what kind of Britain do you want to grow up in, or do you want your children to grow up in? I want my Britain, the Britain I'm proud of, to be outward looking, to be decent and to create a future for others. And let's remember, this is about being true to Britain's character. What did Britain do after the Second World War? It opened its doors to those desperate children fleeing from the death camps in Nazi Germany.
And we're joined now by the Liberal Democrat Tom Brake. Welcome to the programme. So 50,000 Syrian refugees resettled from the camps, I assume, out in the Middle East. Yes. You have to fund it up front, $4.3 billion. Where will the money come from?
Well, as Tim set out, and we will be setting out in our manifesto, fully costed manifesto, we will explain where that funding is going to come from.
Can you do it this morning? You've announced the policy, so why not tell us how you pay for it?
Well, I think the detail of costings in our manifesto will be there for people to see next week. We know what it costs, for instance, at the moment to support a refugee. And we know how many the UK government have taken, so we can extrapolate the cost from that.
No, the costs are not. They are argued. You've given us the cost. What I'm asking you is how you're going to pay for it. Where will the money come from?
Well, as Tim set out there, we will ensure that it's properly funded.
But you can't. How can we know that, since you won't tell us?
Well, I'm not. I'm telling you, it is going to be in our costed manifesto.
But why would you announce a policy like this? You've given us the figure, 50,000 Syrian refugees. You've given us the cost, and yet you can't tell us the crucial bit is how you're going to pay for it.
Well, because what we will do in our costed manifesto is we will be setting out the costings for all of the proposals that we've got, so it comes as a complete package, and therefore the sources of funding for it may well apply to other things that we're supporting, so it needs to be seen.
Another penny on income tax? You ready? That would pay for it. That would give you over $4 billion.
We've already set out how that would be used in terms of funding the NHS.
Where would the refugees go?
Well, we've already seen local authorities willing to take refugees. There are many who are willing to provide more support. Clearly, we would want to work with those local authorities to provide additional places. And if you look at the scale of what we're proposing in terms of 50,000 in comparison with some of the countries in the region, like Turkey, which have taken 4 million, I think this is a relatively small contribution the UK will be making.
How many has your own borough of Sutton taken in terms of asylum seekers?
As I understand it, we have taken over 20 young people as part of this process.
Well, the figure I've got from the borough is 4.
Well, I think it's substantially higher than that figure.
Well, even if it's 20, it's de minimis. You know, and Sutton is one of the more prosperous parts of the country. And you've taken 4, we have the figure. Let's take your 20 instead. Bury, North, 509, Rotherham, 401, Salford, not the richest part of the country at all, 728, Stockton and Tees, historically an area of high unemployment and of industrial decline, 850. And yet a prosperous area like yours manages 4 or 20.
Well, Sutton is very willing to make a contribution.
But you're not.
There has been an attempt, which has taken some time, to get a pan-London initiative set up, and it is through that process that Sutton has received refugees, and we will continue to support particularly young people.
But you haven't so far, so what's going to change? You're now talking about 50,000, and all your borough can manage is 20 on your figures.
Well, 50,000 over the term of a parliament, so that's 5 years, that's 10,000 per year. And that would be spread over literally hundreds of authorities. So each local authority will only have to take a relatively small number of refugees in each year.
How come they tend to end up in the poorer parts of the country? Indeed, those parts of the country least equipped to welcome them.
Well, that may be down to the government's policy of relocating asylum seekers in specific places where they do tend to focus refugees or asylum seekers in a relatively limited number of locations.
Tom Brake, thank you.